able to say that we are going to this year for America's 250 recognize Washington's birthday, not just federally, but as a state holiday. So our state offices will be closed. Our state employees will be able to have the day off, which I know they're not going to complain about. And we're going to have a series of events that weekend that is going to help celebrate the birthday of George Washington. So first, we're partnering with NASCAR to sponsor the America 250 Florida Duel at Daytona. So it's going to be an exciting race at the start of Speed Week to celebrate Florida's rich history. The race will involve drivers competing for their starting position in the 68th running of the Daytona 500, and then this will complement the Fresh from Florida 250 that happens that Friday, February 13th, sponsored by Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson. In addition, that period of time, that 12 to 16 of February, all fees are waived for admission to state-owned public lands, including our public parks, state parks, wildlife management areas, water management lands, and Department of State historic properties. So you can enjoy that free of charge. We want people to be out there to be able to get that done. You know, another thing we're doing, because we're saying Florida's the 14th colony, is we've got something called the Florida Historic Golf Trail. Now, they didn't play golf in the colonies at that time, and it was a while before they started to. But we've got all these very historic places, and we're going to offer them for their 14th hole a special 14th colony flag that they could put in that hole. I don't know if John's Island Club will want to put that up, but like some of these others may want, and I think it's really, really nice. So we'll be able to do that, and we're happy to be able to offer that, and it's something that's really, really meaningful. And then finally, I'm pleased to announce that we are going to be, the state of Florida, through some of the foundations that are associated with the state, are going to be sponsoring an essay contest on America 250 for Florida students. So allow applicants to enter for the chance to receive one of 14 Florida prepaid scholarships to help with their schooling in any of the state colleges or universities. And so there'll be further details on that that'll be forthcoming. We have this thing, Florida Prepaid, where you can pay to basically get your kid free. It's effectively free by the time they get old enough, tuition at our state colleges and universities. But since I've been governor, we've not allowed them to raise tuition at all for Florida residents. And so we have by far the lowest in-state tuition of any state in the United States for our state universities. It's about $6,300 for tuition. We actually have pretty low out-of-state tuition. I think that may be the lowest or close. Honestly, I don't mind charging them more. I just want to make sure our Floridas are doing that. And we also have possibilities for students to qualify for in-state based on their grandparents' residency. And we've been able to help people do that, and I know that's something that a lot of folks, throughout Florida. But it's interesting with this prepaid, because we've held the line on tuition. They've gotten to the point twice during my tenure as governor where they had to send a bunch of refunds to the prepaid families because they overpaid, because they were paying thinking that tuition would go up, and if tuition went up like it is everywhere else, it'd be way more. So they're getting these checks back, and they've refunded like billions of dollars to prepaid families. I mean, it's been really, really incredible what's happened. But those prepaid scholarships, that is for state universities or for state colleges, and so it's a really, really good deal. And I think that this is going to be a great time for students to be able to compete and really think long and hard about America 250. And the final thing I'll just say before we bring up some of our other speakers is, why does this matter? Well, it matters. It's just the right thing to do, and I think, but it matters even more because when they went out on this journey to launch this experiment 250 years ago, they did so knowing that they were bucking the tide of history. Republics that had been attempted had all failed. They were likely to fail. And so they said, we're going to determine once and for all, can people govern themselves or not? Can you have a society where your rights come from God, not the government, where you have rule of law, not the rule of men, all these different things? America was going to ultimately answer that question. And so, they set out a lot of ideals in the Declaration of Independence. They later provided a framework for those ideals when they created the U.S. Constitution. But, when Benjamin Franklin walked out of the Constitutional Convention, he was asked, did you give us a republic or a monarchy? And his answer was a republic if you can keep it. Because they understood you could have the best Constitution in the world, you could have the best Declaration of Independence in the world. These things don't run on autopilot. They require every generation of Americans to step up and defend freedom, particularly when it's threatened, sometimes even putting on a uniform and risking your life in service of this country. And so the experiment continues. The question that the founders sought to answer was not finally answered by the documents they produced or some of the things they did. That just gave a chance to be able to answer the question. So we're still answering the question about whether you can have a free government that can long endure. And, in Florida, we're showing, that you can get things done, that you can do it the right way, that you can have low crime, that you can have low taxes, that you can have big surpluses. We've paid down, just since I've been governor, the whole history of Florida. In my tenure, we've paid off 50% of that debt for all of Florida's history just since I've been governor. So you can do, universal school choice. You can do all these things. Heck, we're doing Everglades restoration. All the things we're doing, environment, people said you couldn't do any of that. We're doing it. So we're showing it can be done, but I think the debate is still raging. You see different philosophies that have been at play throughout the country, and the ones that have not been good have all pursued a certain course that has not been good philosophically, and I think we really had that solid foundation that's rooted into what our founding fathers tried to establish 250 years ago. So I'm proud of that, and I'm proud Florida's leading the effort at the state level to celebrate America 250. Okay, Cord.